gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And your co-host, hailing from the valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I'm your host, Mr. OTM Kyle Gagliardi. And my co-host this evening is my good friend Ian Garavaglia. What's going on, Ian?
Oh, man, I was feeling really hyped. I got demoted again. I went from great friend. For those that are following that storyline, I was called a great friend 2 weeks ago. Back down to a good friend, so it's all right. We're still in that category, but I'm feeling great. I am feeling very good. I am excited for this episode.
Ooh, I am too. This is, we've been talking about doing this episode for about a month now, really ever since the Junkies decided to join the Main Event Wrestling Network, but we're going to bring them in here in a couple minutes. I would ask you how you're doing, Ian, but we did get to spend some time together this past weekend, which was nice.
Yeah, I saw, sadly, but also happily saw the Chiefs advance, which was pretty cool. Went to a little birthday bash, had a few brewskis.
What?
And hung out with a lot of people I did not know, but still, I was drinking, watching football, so I couldn't really complain. But I do have some personal news.
What's that?
I actually had something crazy happen. I drove home today, which, for those that don't know me personally, I am kind of an architect, draftsman. One of my second house, yes. The second house is being built, which is a really cool sight to see. It's
nice.
I see walls, and it's really weird to look at, but it's fun. I'm excited.
It's something you definitely can take pride in. That's pretty cool, yeah. Ian. But the funny thing about our party, or our get-together, I should say, on last Saturday was, yes, we did watch football, but once football was over with, they still had the Peacock on, because that's what the Chiefs game was on Saturday. And I just went up to Aaron, the birthday boy, and I was like, listen, I don't think anybody's watching this TV. You mind if I throw a Royal Rumble on? And we didn't have just one person sitting by us watching the Royal Rumble, Ian. There were multiple people locked in who don't even watch wrestling enjoying the Rumble with us. It was a sight to see.
It was funny, too, because at first there was a bunch of the younger generation watching, just kind of watching, asking questions. And then we started seeing randomly older guys start walking over. Man, I used to watch this back in the day. I don't like it anymore. And they're just eyeballs are glued to the screen, which is just, it's so funny because it's always ironic that no matter how much they deny, wrestling is a fun sport to watch.
Yes, it is, Ian. And we got some people in the chat already. Kind says, hello, ladies and gentlemen. The tribal chief, that's a self-appointed tribal chief. We're not acknowledging Kind as the tribal chief. He said he is here to reclaim his MVM. He's head and shoulders above everyone else. And if he had a button to push, no one could locate it. I'm sick of acting humble. Wow.
Oh,
interesting sayings there.
I like that. That was good.
It was all right. How you boys doing? Nice to see you, Kai. And now he's going to actually be nice to us and ask how's it going. Ryan Matthews in the chat. Love to see that. What's happening, Ryan? Thanks for stopping by. Dirk Vogus, as always, is here. He said, good evening. Good evening to you, Mr. Vogus. Matthews goes on to say football was garbage last week, and I don't blame you. It really wasn't that garbage because, there's this team that's rivals with this team that I live by. The Green Bay Packers, I think they're called. And, yeah, they fucked up the Dallas Cowboys. They took care of business. And now we are on to the divisional round. And you're going to hear it right here, right now. we're beating the 49ers.
Okay.
I believe it.
You know what? I will say this: Game Respects Game didn't have to bring up your rival with the team around here. That was kind of a shot that did not need to be shot in the air, but that's fine.
They're really not rivals. You have to beat the other team to be considered a rival.
I think I literally said that the last game of the season. I genuinely.
So you agree?
No, we're rivals. Like it's a rivalry, but we just.
It's a one-sided rivalry, I guess we could say. But we don't have a rivalry with our special guest. Steve stopped by before we went live. He said, talk about a dream team. Looking forward to this collab. We were a part of the collaboration on Steve's channel that he just released a couple days ago where we all gave our Royal Rumble predictions. I'm not saying those are going to be the same as next week. I guess you'll have to tune in to find out. But, Ian, I believe that was your first video you did for Steve. How was it to see yourself on the big screen finally?
It was weird because I literally texted you in the middle of me trying to record it. I had a little bit where I was drinking a beer going into it, and might have went through 2 beers just to get that bit through. A lot of takes on my computer.
A little bit of liquid courage, I guess we could say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, it's time. Let's bring in our special guests. They are our brothers from the Main Event Wrestling Network. They are just celebrating their 100th episode as a podcast, and they are the Wrestling Junkies, Mr. Cincinnati and the Podcast Dad. What is going on?
How we doing, boys?
We're doing good. How's it going over there?
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
I will agree with you.
God, we got to stop saying the same shit.
The only salvageable thing from this weekend when my Eagles got their ass kicked was that the Dallas Cowboys lost, and that just made the entire playoffs. You're not going to beat the 49ers, spoiler, but hey, good run.
Hey,
I too am thrilled that the Browns and the Steelers have also gone the way of the Eagles and Cowboys in the playoffs here. Here's out to Joe Burrow and that wrist. He'll be back. He'll be angry next year. Super Bowl 2025, bitches. That's what's happening.
Hey, whatever you say. I like the confidence.
Yeah,
Podcast Dad, you said you were an Eagles fan, so who are you rooting for now that your squad is out of the playoffs? You gotta attach yourself to one team.
Nobody.
Oh,
I'm not even gonna watch.
Really?
I'm waiting for the draft. Number 22 pick in the NFL draft. Here we go. I'm on draft prep, boys.
Yeah. So is Ian. He's a Bears fan. If you did not know,
that's every year.
Terrified. Yeah.
Eric, I want to go to you first because some of our listeners obviously might not know who you guys are. Why don't you give the listeners a little backstory on how everything started with the Wrestling Junkies?
Yeah, for sure. So we met at a Beer Olympics about 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. At this point, I was wearing a Rated R Superstar shirt, and Choops thought he was very stealthy in pointing out the fact that I was wearing said shirt when he was talking to his wife. He was not stealthy at all. It was kind of one of those like, "Hey, he's wearing an Ed shirt" kind of things. And she kind of just nudged him over. We started talking, and we hit it off right away. I can't think of anybody better to do a podcast with, so I kind of just rolled the dice and said, "Hey, you want to just try this out? Let's talk some wrestling and see what happens." And holy shit, here we are 100 episodes later, and no signs of slowing down.
That is crazy for, just because we've been a podcast now for, I believe, 4 or 5 years, and we're only at 178. We stick to the one show a week, but it's not just your daily, it seems like, podcast. You're also doing interviews. Chris, you want to tell the listeners a little bit about what you guys have been doing on that front?
Yeah, so we have made some really good connections. For some strange reason down in Georgia, we've made a ton of connections, and what we do is we try to represent the independent wrestlers, right? You come on our show. We're not the typical wrestling interview. We're not going to go, "Hey, what's your favorite match? What's your favorite event?" Blah blah blah. We don't do that. We want to get these guys comfortable. These guys and gals, I should say. We want to get them comfortable. Let them talk about their wrestling journey, not just why you're in it, but how you got in it. What are your earliest memories? What are the biggest misconceptions that you guys are seeing in the wrestling business? And we've had a lot of fun with it. Shout out to Bryce Cannon and Landon Hill for giving us a couple cool videos today, congratulating us on the 100th episode. We have 2 new ones dropping tomorrow. And we're going to keep it going. We love independent wrestling. We love hearing about new wrestlers and everything like that. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a whirlwind. And Eric, if I may, I don't think I was wearing a shirt when I met you. Is that correct?
Whoa now.
I don't think so, because that's when I saw the Philly special tat. Yeah, that was when I saw the Philly special tat. Yeah.
Okay.
You have
so he does have that iconic play. Yeah, it is tattooed on him. Yes,
That's actually pretty cool.
That's actually awesome.
I'm telling you, die hard. Die hard.
Once you put that ink to your skin, yes, I will consider you a diehard, because I don't even think I would put anything Packers or St. Louis Cardinals on my body.
Don't blame me.
So kudos to
you're
you.
a Cards fan. All right, come on, man.
Yeah,
Wait,
I know.
Who's your baseball team?
I live in Cincinnati, bud.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Eric, I am a Cubs fan, and I have to be friends with this guy. And he's fans of every opposing
Thoughts
rival.
and prayers.
It's bad.
Well, just think about this, guys. So I grew up in this area. We're about 45 minutes from Chicago. It wasn't my choice to be a fan of these teams. It just so happened my dad was a St. Louis Cardinals fan because that was the first team he played with in Little League. And then my grandpa was a Packers fan, and he passed that down to my dad. And I so happened to live right next to Chicago, and a lot of the times the Packers were winning, the Cardinals were winning. I saw 2 World Series from the Cardinals. I saw 1 Super Bowl right around that high school time, so it's safe to say I got over here.
That's fair.
But enough about my sports teams, boys. I say we talk some wrestling. A lot of things happened this past weekend, so let's get into it. I know these guys, they saw a little bit, I believe, of TNA and New Japan, but I didn't get to see any of that because we were busy, like we said. But the 2 big headlines that really came out of TNA Hard to Kill are 2 new arrivals. You guys know them as Dolph Ziggler and Dana Brooke from the WWE. We know them now as Nick Nemeth and Ash by Elegance. They are officially a part of TNA. Ian, I want to go to you first. You obviously didn't really get to see much of Dana Brooke in the WWE. I want to go to her specifically first because it seems like she's actually getting a character to dive into, unlike her time in WWE where she just was floating from one thing to another. Would you say that's safe to say?
Yeah, so when I did see Dana Brooke before, but she was in that stage of she was past the whole push. She was in the little floating stage of she didn't know what she was. She was trying to go NXT, trying to go to Raw, SmackDown. It was bad. It wasn't great. And her in-ring performance wasn't anything to carry her to any spotlight, and the character wasn't anything. I mean, it was Dana Brooke. She does some flips every now and then, but I'm glad to see that she's really trying and going to try to maybe end her career on a staple in TNA and see what she does with it. It's a cool name. It catches your eye. It's not a typical name, so I'm intrigued to see what her character is.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, I guess we could say. And boys, before I go to you, I want to put a disclaimer out there that Kine is a well-known AEW hater. So take that with what you will. But he said, TNA's cooking right now, clear of AEW's retirement home, WWE's stepping some. Nemeth is going to cook. He's also got a match booked with Matt Cardona soon. Going to be a banger. Yes, that match is happening in GCW. But Eric, let me go to you first. Nick Nemeth's a big name. We saw him show up in New Japan, obviously, before TNA. But I feel like this might be a really good spot for him going forward.
Yeah. Also, just to respond to Kine, our friend Bryce Cannon is also going to be fighting Matt Cardona at Lariato Pro Wrestling March 2nd for the Lariato Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. Just wanted to get that plug out there. We're all about the cheap pop on our show. But I'm going to start with Ash by Elegance just because I agree with a lot of what Ian has said. There really wasn't a whole lot as far as for Dana Brooke to sink her teeth into. It was more of the
we lose him for a little bit. He'll come back.
Yeah. All right. There we go. So fitness model signed to a developmental deal. So, at that point, you're already kind of doomed from the start because you're already kind of pigeonholed as to what it is that you are and what you can be for WWE, at that point. So I like the idea of her going to Impact because I know that we've talked about this on our show that, if you were to send her right to AEW right away, it's not going to be a splash signing by any stretch of the imagination. But if you do give her a character, something that she can sink her teeth into, Impact is becoming the place to do it. We saw the limited run that Trinity has done, and she is likely going to be coming back at the Royal Rumble. She did exactly what a lot of people do: go learn a new hold somewhere else in hopes that you'll come back to where you want to be. So to have her explore this character work and see what it is that she can do with this, I'm intrigued. I think that anybody that thinks that this is a Tony Storm ripoff needs to just wait and let it play out, because she didn't talk, she didn't wrestle a match. Shut the hell up. Choops, what you got?
Man, that was kind of a fiery ending there. Shut the hell up.
He ain't wrong.
Followed up, brother.
I'm also going to play a little bit of devil's advocate with, is it Kine that's the AEW hater? Just a little bit of devil's advocate.
Hold on. What he said, I'm not an AEW hater. I'm just a realist, by the way.
Okay. we are coming out of this, TNA rebrand, talking about 2 former WWE superstars. Just throwing it out there. Ash by Elegance, I've said it on our show. I'm indifferent. Dana Brooks' run was nothing to me, and this is just there. Like, it's not anything that I'll wait and see, but it's not like this is the big bell ringing siren alert for me for TNA. Nemeth, on the other hand, I think is going to fit very well in that TNA realm. I think he's a good fit. I think he could go over there and be that that big fish in the small pond and kind of dominate TNA for a while, and then maybe move on to an AEW, or we've seen some stuff in New Japan. I think he's really going to go the Cardona route and just dominate the indies, and I would consider TNA right now one of those indies. And I see him floating but making a huge impact for TNA and maybe selling some big houses for him.
Well, another thing too, I'm gonna, if I can say something real quick with
No, you cannot.
Nick.
It's not your podcast or anything.
With Nick, it like, actually, honestly, both of these talents that are going over to TNA, like they were WWE lifers. That we could all say that a year ago.
Yeah,
you
Dana started with WWE. Yeah.
Exactly, and it shows something that they are willing to take a deeper dive into the wrestling industry, especially Dana Brooks. She wasn't a big wrestling fan. As far as I know,
wasn't she like a gymnast or something? Do you guys know how she actually?
She was
like a fitness model. Yeah,
she was like the Arnold Classic, wasn't she?
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
but she's from Columbus, I think, too.
Oh, get her on the pod. Wrestling Junkies next, guys. Just saying.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But yeah, it just shows with especially with Dana Brooke that she could have went the easy route and gone to other websites. Obviously, we saw with what Mandy Rose is doing. I mean, that's just being real. Like, she could make a living doing that and be fine. But the fact she's staying within the wrestling company in TNA, especially, which is rebranding, there's a new life in TNA. It's a cool feeling because it makes me want to see her progress, make everyone want to see what she wants to do next.
Yeah, I mean, Chris was kind of saying it. I'm indifferent about the Ash by Elegance thing because, let's be honest, in the amount of time she was in WWE, sure, she wasn't given a lot of big opportunities, but to me, she was kind of just treated as a comedy act for the most part. I mean, she was a part of a tag team for a little bit. That was okay, but I feel like there was plenty of opportunities there where she could have shined brighter, and she just didn't. So maybe going to TNA, you can lean more into the character aspect, because I think we can all agree in TNA, they really focus hard in on those character work. So that, I'm going to, indifferent. I agree with you, the podcast dad over here. But Nick Nemeth, the Cardona route is spot on. I tell you what, it is, because look at Matt Cardona right now. He's even admitted that he's making more money on the indies than he did in the WWE. Nick Nemeth's going to do the same damn thing, because we've talked about him being one of the most underrated wrestlers of the past couple decades. He's going to get a chance to shine in the main event. So that's the biggest signing, I think, here for TNA, if we're going to compare the two. But kind of said just a quick one. Are we going to mention NXT later? If not, I'd like to say Kalani deserved to win the Battle Royal. She was robbed by Izzy Dane. No, we didn't plan on talking about NXT, Kind, but just because you wanted her to win doesn't mean she should have won. I don't know. Eric and Chris, I don't know if you got anything you want to say to Kind here.
Kind, if you want to hear Kind, if you want to hear about NXT, come watch our show. We talked about it. Go ahead, Eric.
We didn't hear any of that, bud.
You didn't hear
Oh,
any of it?
I heard him. I heard him. Yeah.
Oh, I did. I
You
definitely
didn't hear it.
You and your internet in Cincinnati, you dumb
Yeah.
Reds fan.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Shots
All right.
fired.
All right.
Shots fired.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
No,
Yeah.
I was being polite. Go ahead, Eric.
So I like Kehlani Jordan. She is going to have a hell of an NXT run. They're in that transitional kind of talent's going to be moving up to main roster sort of thing. Roxanne Perez, this is fun. This is kind of the swan song for her. This is Roxanne leaving the women's division in better hands with Lyra Valkyria. Kehlani will get her moments. It's not at the time building to stand and deliver. This is and this goes a lot back to something I heard Effie talk about as far as on his podcast and WrestleMania season, and when people are coming to those shows to try to get booked. WrestleMania is the ending of a wrestling calendar. This is not the beginning. After WrestleMania is when you can do all of that. So for Kehlani Jordan, yeah, she was not successful in the breakout tournament. We see what she can do. I'm not worried about her getting an opportunity between now and Stand and Deliver, because once Stand and Deliver is over and we're going to see some call-ups, she's going to have all the opportunity in the world. Now's not the time, but 2024 will be her year.
I'll tell you what, she's one of the many bright stars they got in that NXT women's division. They are cooking down there. I know you guys talked about it, I believe, yesterday on your podcast, and I mentioned how stacked that women's division was. But shout out to Dylan from the Last Week in Wrestling podcast stopping by, a part of the Main Event Wrestling Network, bringing it in all together here for the mixer. Love to see that. Thanks for stopping by, man. And Kind said, bro, low-key cooked. So there you go. He said you cooked. That's what the kids are saying nowadays, by the way.
I guess.
On
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
On God.
Okay.
We wouldn't know. I think all of us besides Ian are above 30, correct?
Yeah, no, I'm
No.
comfortably into my 30s now.
Oh,
No.
no. Chris, you're not?
No, I'm 29. Thank you.
Oh.
I,
To be fair,
Third-
dad math, you have 2 kids, you have twins, so that makes you my age.
yes, yes.
Yeah, there
Physically, mentally, I'm about 45, but yes.
Oh, and Kind throwing shots at Ian. He
Okay.
said, take notes. That's what a good wrestling
I literally complimented your promo that you probably copy and pasted from Twitter somewhere.
Ooh, man.
He comes back.
Backseat kind.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad I put the kids to bed. Jeez.
Yeah, there you go. Last thing about NXT, though, we didn't get to speak on this because it just happened over the weekend as well. Our best wishes and speedy recovery goes out to Cora Jade, who unfortunately, I believe, tore her ACL, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just terrible timing, because she was probably going to win that Battle Royal, I would say.
I could see it.
I would
Yeah.
have loved that. Yeah.
It seemed like her time, but obviously it's not going to be this year. So hopefully we'll see her by the end of 2024. But let's talk about somebody else that is in TNA as of right now. You know her as Trinity Fatu in TNA, but we know her in the WWE community as Naomi. And since she dropped that title to Jordan Grace, the rumors are going wild right now that she could be making her return at the Royal Rumble. I think I speak for the majority of us, if not all, that we would love to see Naomi return at the Royal Rumble. My question to you guys, and Chris, I'll go to you first. Do you think this is going to happen? Are we going to get Naomi returning at this year's Royal Rumble?
100%. I think she went out, and the old JR saying, she went out, she learned a new hold, and I think we could have always seen this coming. Her being married to Jimmy, I think kind of didn't burn the bridge completely, right? Like there's something always there. So I definitely think her returning is going to happen. It's a nice, fun surprise return, and it could be something to help, in my opinion, something to help lure Sasha over as well, and go, hey, look, she came back. Bailey's getting a big push. Like, it makes that more attractive. Like, Triple H is in charge. Like, everything that they're doing, I think, is trying to set up a long-term goal to get Sasha, Mercedes, whoever you want to call her, get her back into that company.
So, Eric, you watch TNA, right? Weekly?
I do not weekly. I did watch Hard to Kill, mostly because now that it's a rebrand, this is kind of a fresh start for me. I think I fell off probably 2004, 2005. I mean, I've kept up kind of arm's length over the years. And as far as Trinity goes, I think that this was the perfect move for her. Mick Foley would say a lot, especially over these last few years of various releases. Whenever he was asked about kind of, okay, what should these talents do when they are released by WWE and if they want to come back? 3 words: prove Vince wrong. Mm-hmm. Naomi and Sasha walked out because they weren't happy with the creative that they were receiving. They were tag team champions, and yet they wanted to put the tag team champions in singles feuds on different shows with those respective women's champions, and they didn't stand for that shit, which is perfectly fine. They walked out, and I think that a lot of WWE thought that be crawling back eventually, or if they did, if they don't, they've burned this bridge, and it is what it is. Sasha went out, reinvented herself, killed it in New Japan before she broke her ankle. Naomi went to have a 6-month run with a Knockouts Championship where she tapped out Deonna Purrazzo twice and didn't lose until she was beaten by Jordynne Grace. They proved Vince wrong. She will be back. I have a feeling that Sasha will too. Just remains to be a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Drew McIntyre really made the blueprint a couple years ago when he left the company and made a bigger name for himself, and now it seems to be a lot of other people are following in that path. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a for sure thing that Naomi's shown up at the Royal Rumble, but the stars are aligning, Ian. I think her dropping the title this Saturday is kind of showing us what's going to happen here next Saturday. Are you excited for Naomi returning to WWE?
I would be very excited for it. I think I said it last week with Rhea in the title. There's not a lot of singles wrestlers right now. They've been trying to find it. I mean, Nia Jax is somebody, as much as people hate to say anything, she's another contender for that top spot, and they're still needing some impact, no pun intended, coming back in with talent. And especially Sasha, if she came back as Mercedes, or Sasha teaming with Bayley. But yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see how much the women's talent has grown in the women's division all across women's wrestling.
Yeah, in all companies, like you're saying, it continuously gets better, even with the AEW women's division that was criticized for, a lot of years. I was one of those people that was criticizing them, but they definitely have gotten much better. Yeah, so you probably agree with me. At least now I feel like they're starting to build something in AEW with the women's division.
We have a saying on our show, it's wait and see, right? We wait and see, and then let's see the follow-up. Like, they're doing a good job with Deonna right now, but I don't think she's going to beat Toni Storm for the title. So what is going to happen afterwards? It's kind of that, and I know we're talking about the women's division, but kind of the same thing with Hook, right? Like, so Hook had a big match, had a great showing. What happens next? Like, they do very well at debuting talents, but then that follow-up. Think of Saraya. Like, Saraya had a big debut. She won the title, and now what's she doing? Ruby had a big debut, had a big main event feud with Britt Baker, hasn't really done much since. Toni Storm's kind of that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Toni Storm's kind of that exception where she's kind of, but she reinvented herself with a character. So yes, I am cautiously optimistic with how the women's division is going. We said it, I think, on the end of the year show that 2024 for both companies, you need to book the women better because we know they can go out and do it. So I'm cautiously optimistic for these women's divisions.
Yeah, and I think if Naomi does end up returning to WWE, there's no getting lost in the shuffle right now. I think they're doing a great job in letting everybody get their shine right now in their women's division. Ian kind of touched on it. They're trying to build new stars with Ivy Nile, Maxine Dupree, Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, that they're just not at that main event level. But Eric, you bring in Naomi, she's someone that could easily be thrown into the major title scene, right?
Yeah, 100%. And we're looking.
He'll come back.
He will. He always does.
A long sip from the drink there.
Yeah. Look at Samoa Joe and how petrified he was that there are multiple challenges for his title right now. We're not seeing that with Io because we know that Bayley is the larger story on SmackDown there. Rhea Ripley, a lot of the criticism that she has gotten, most of it unfair, is that, okay, well, she's been champ for most of 2023, really hasn't had too many title defenses, but she's involved in the largest story going on the flagship show of the biggest wrestling company in the world. I think that we can make an exception with that. We are seeing the seeds for a Becky Lynch feud. Great. Want to see that. Naomi could fit in with either one of those champions and be a credible challenger because she has gone away, because she has reinvented herself, because she has improved, because she has grown. I mean, I know that we're going to get into our Rumble predictions here and kind of look at a few names of who might, be the ones to take those coveted spots. But I mean, Naomi coming back instantly boosts the credibility of an already stacked women's division. The problem is, again, Triple H is still trying to build the women's tag division. There really is no mid-card division to build with. See Naomi going. Yeah, I don't see Naomi going to the tag team scene. She is going to be a single star, I think, at least for the foreseeable future when she does return. So, yeah, I think she'll slot right in on either one of those shows. But, yeah, give me Naomi on Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about how there's not a mid-card title. Kine said we need a women's mid-card title. Ian, would you feel that'd be beneficial for WWE to implement that?
Yeah, because I really think there should be... This might be controversial. I think there should be less emphasis on the women's tag teams because let's be honest, there hasn't been a ton of success besides a whole diamond in the rough situation with the Sasha and Bailey sort of situation. No tag team in the women's division has really made those titles feel important.
Yet.
It's about the singles. Yeah, correct. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yet. I don't think the division is ready for a huge...
I think Chris has an opinion.
Go ahead.
Let him cook.
I like the Kabuki Warriors. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
They are a very credible tag team. And then we talked about it too, I think, on your guys' podcast the other day, is that the women's tag division is actually becoming a thing now, which I don't think you would need a mid-card title then if you actually are putting a lot of effort and TV time into the tag division. I think it's good spot that they're at right now, because then you're just going to turn into AEW where everybody's got a title and Hook's holding the FTW title. That doesn't mean absolutely anything. It's a prop. Everybody's got props in AEW. Ian, you want to join our company? Here's the ROH middleweight, heavyweight, international title.
Sweet.
Go run with it.
Okay.
Sorry,
I bet you won a tournament to get it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was an 8-man round robin, 2 out of 3 falls matches.
In Rio de Janeiro.
There you go. Book it, Tony. I know you're listening because we called you out the other week. But Kind showing some more love here to Mr. Cincinnati. He said he's a chef right now.
Hold on.
And speaking
Eric, I just want to point this out right now. Kind will do this to you. Don't let these comments affect you, because about 5 minutes from now, he'll be shitting
He'll turn on you.
take. Yeah,
Please
it
do it sooner.
Hey, if we don't live by the praise, we don't die by the criticism. That's the motto over the job.
No.
Put that on a T-shirt.
No,
I'm here for that.
His head's not going to be able to fit on the screen if you keep pumping him up.
I don't even know how to come back from that. Sorry, man.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Well,
That's just he's a jackass and a killjoy, but I love him.
That's what makes the show great. That's why they've lasted 100 episodes. People.
Tune in later for the 100th episode and the last episode.
Did OTM kill the wrestling junkies? Find out on episode 101. Well, guys, since we're talking about the Royal Rumble, I'm just gonna move things around here on the outline. Let's talk about our Royal Rumble favorites. We will spend next week diving into the card with a special guest, Erica Marini, our former co-host. So I hope everybody's looking forward to that, because I am. It's one of the most fun shows we do every single year. We even do a little bit of a Rumble lottery, boys, where you get assigned a number, and it's $20 a Rumble, winner take all. Are you guys in?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah,
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Degenerates. I knew I liked you. So let's talk about some of our favorites. I'm not talking about your personal favorites. I'm talking about the 3 people that you think have the best chance of winning the Royal Rumble. Ian, I will go to you first. Let's start with the women's side of things. Give me 3 names that you're keeping an eye on, but don't give me your pick. Save it for next week.
Oh, boy. I didn't really... See, I think the women's side is in a very weird spot. Can I defer the women's division?
Yes, we'll let Eric, Mr. Cincinnati,
Please,
go first.
All right. Yeah, so much like I put in our network Rumble video, Bailey's top of the list because, not only just the storyline that we're seeing with Damage Control, but when you look at her body of work in 2023 as a whole, I mean, she did not win a whole hell of a lot. She spent 2023 helping to build up the rest of WWE's women's division. Excuse me. And when we're talking the business aspect of that, the reward is great Rumble showing. And this story that we're looking at with Damage Control, she's very clearly the odd woman out here. Now, I hesitate to continue to make her my pick to win this Rumble, given the fact that we now have a Charlotte Flair-sized void to fill on the road to WrestleMania. Shift of babyface heel dynamics as far as that roster going into WrestleMania. But you have to think that this is her last chance to prove herself to Judgment Day of, you know what? I have to do something to prove my worth here. So if I win the Rumble and I go beat Rhea and I go take that title over there on Raw, then yeah, all of you guys will like me and we'll be all, simpatico for the rest of the time, which we just know isn't going to happen. So top of the list there. Becky Lynch, number 2. This one, after seeing that face-off with Rhea, we've seen them do that backstage, at least a couple of times in 2023. But the fact that we got an extended promo, which shout out to Triple H, because we are seeing singles women's promos for that championship, something we really hadn't seen in most of 2023. This is exactly what we need on the road to WrestleMania. This is a money match right here, no matter how you look at it. So Becky for number 2. And then we've already talked about number 3. Trinity, Naomi, whatever she may go by when she comes back. It's hard not to buy her as an instant credible challenger for this Rumble. When we look at the rest of the women's roster right now, show of hands, are we seeing Candice LeRae seeing Chelsea Green win this at all?
Nope.
Are we seeing Piper Niven?
No.
Nope.
I can keep going down the list, but like that, it's going to be the same answer every time. But with Trinity, it's not just somebody who is coming over from opposition. This is, she had been building her name as a WWE legend before she walked out. And then she bet on herself, got herself more over, and now she's coming back. That screams badass to me.
I didn't even really consider Naomi to be a threat just because we don't know for sure if she's going to be in it. But if she is, she's got to be up there, Chris. I'm curious. What are the 3 names you're keeping an eye on for the Women's Rumble?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Eric on the first 2. I think Bayley would be at the top of my list. I think there's a natural story there. It seems like Damage Control is going to implode sooner rather than later, and it seems like Bayley is the odd woman out in that group. Becky Lynch, I could see winning the Rumble. I think there's I think it's more likely she wins a chamber to get to Rhea. And I could see the final 2 of Chamber being Nia and Becky getting that win back. But you may have the final 2 of the Rumble be Nia and Becky, and that's how Becky gets over there as well. And then the third one, I'm going to go Sasha. I think if she does come back, you get the big pop. Sasha Banks is back. She comes out. She wins the Rumble. We get a dream match with her and Rhea. I don't think we ever saw that when she was there. So. And that would be something that I would pay to see. That would be, like Eric said about Naomi, just an instant credible challenger for Rhea Ripley right off the bat.
Damn. It's so hard to sit here and say, oh, Sasha wouldn't have a shot at winning the Rumble, because if she's in any Rumble and she returns to WWE, she's a threat. She's the top of the card. She could easily win this Rumble if she's there, but I just don't know if she's going to be there. But I agree with you guys. I think Bayley and Becky are the obvious ones. I don't need to get into it because you guys really explained it well enough. But my third might be a little bit of a wild card. I think Jade Cargill really has a good shot at winning this thing. Okay. They spent a lot of time hyping up Jade on where she would land. We were all invested for a couple weeks there because she was showing up on NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. Where is she going to go? And then for the last month or 2, we really have not seen Jade Cargill. Something tells me they're saving her debut for the Rumble, and what way to build somebody and create stock in them and have them win their very first match being a Royal Rumble. I could see Jade easily winning this thing, going on to face Rhea Ripley, or I don't even know who's going to have that women's title that Io has. I still think there's a chance that Io could lose it. before WrestleMania this year. I don't want to see that, but it's definitely a possibility. But Jade Cargill, she's got to be one of my favorites, man, because that's how you push someone to the moon right off the bat. Is she ready for it? I don't know, but there's only one way to find out. Go swim. Figure it out. Those are my three. Ian?
Yeah.
So the reason I deferred earlier is because I didn't write down my picks. I did think about it, but I did not write them down, and I completely forgot, which just kind of gives dividends to where that women's division's at, in my opinion. But obviously, top of my list was Bayley. I think I said it before. I think that people have wanted to see it. She's kind of gone stale with her heel side. In my honest opinion, I was not a huge fan of her as a heel. I love the face of Bayley, and the hug. The hugger, I guess, was that her character's name?
Yeah, the hug mentality, I guess you could say.
But I think that would absolutely boost her. I don't know if she's where she is at in her career, physically wise and everything, but one big singles push with her as a babyface, or even a tag push with a returning Sasha, who was my second pick as well. I think if there's one name that can come into the company right now and win the Rumble and have the biggest pop, it's Sasha. She left on a high note, and she built herself even higher on the Indies in New Japan.
Did she, though?
I think she did. I think she became a staple. And the thing is, though, is the casual fans of WWE wouldn't see her as a bigger star coming back. But us Smarks, we would love it, obviously. I think that is who really built up the recognition in the Mark community. My third pick has not been said yet, surprisingly. Returning Liv Morgan. That's another one. It's kind of a wild card, but she's done it before. Okay. I think she could use it. If she's coming back and wants to get heated up right away, back into the main title scene, I think Liv has already proved that she could do it, so why not do it again?
And Rhea did turn on Liv. Turned on her to have this Judgment Day. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens, but yeah, no, that's another one that I would throw out there. I mean, and then as far as Jade goes, there's been a lot of questions as far as whether she's ready, and I've had more than a few heated debates on this one, and Chris knows about the conversations that I've had with people about Jade Cargill, because Triple H has said in press conferences, basically, we'll put her on TV when we feel that she's ready, and there are people that took that as, oh, she's not working hard enough, or she's lazy, or she's doing this, or she's doing that. Yes, she was getting ready for a WWE comeback, but her mom died. So it's like, okay, that's going to mentally fuck with any of us if that happens, let alone if you're a professional wrestler that has a microscope under you, that millions of people are wondering what your next move is because you were the hot free agent. Give her time. They would not have spent the time, energy, effort, resources, and money to sign and recruit Jade Cargill if they didn't feel that she would be where they need to be. She is training with Natty in the dungeon. She's killing it by all accounts. Give her time to cook. Royal Rumble win might not be the best, or might not be the worst way to debut her, I would say. I would say give me Bianca and Jade at some point. If I would have no problem if that happened to WrestleMania either, because we also don't know what Bianca's path to WrestleMania is. That's not somebody you want to leave off of your card, and I don't really want to see just a throwaway battle royal with no stakes just to get every other woman on the card.
No, Bianca's too big of a name to just throw her into a battle royal and say, all right, here's your WrestleMania moment. She main evented WrestleMania with Sasha Banks. She deserves to be in a marquee match at WrestleMania. But we got a lot of comments here before we move over to the men's side of things. For the women's side, though, Kine has Bayley, Becky, and Liv Morgan, so kind of similar to what we all have. And he also said, if we're being honest, R-Truth should win the men's Rumble. Let's not beat around the bush. He would say he won Money in the Bank probably if he won.
Yeah.
This question's kind of directed towards the podcast dad here. He said, Kine said, what is with people using the Chamber as the number one contender match? It's supposed to be used to defend the titles. Seth should have his on the line, and so should Io. That is a fair question, because I have seen a lot of people proposing number one contender situations at the Chamber. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, the first thought is you wrap Seth Rollins in bubble wrap till Mania, because that guy cannot get hurt because you have a money feud. Second of all, I think they could use that as the last chance to get to Mania. That's what I think would be that ultimate. Hey, you didn't win the Rumble. You had to qualify for the Chamber. This is it. This is the last chance to go get a title shot. Now with 2 separate titles on both brands, it's not, hey, if I win the Rumble, I go face Roman. Now it's, I win the Rumble, I have a chance to go face either of Roman or Seth, and that other person still needs it. How do you get them there? They just win. They just come out and say, hey, I get a title shot. I think we're all tired of seeing that. So if you put 6 into the Chamber and say, winner of this match, you get to the main event of WrestleMania, that would make it a little bit more intriguing to me. You can still do title matches in the Chamber, like for an EO, that would be fine. But I think you're not going to see Seth or Roman in a Chamber. I think you're going to see the number 1 contendership for them in the Chamber.
I did bring up, I said it before, I think Gunther defending his title in a Chamber would be must-see.
Even Logan Paul. Throw the mid-card titles in the Chamber.
Logan Paul would never
a lot
do
of
it,
people. Yeah,
I
I feel like he can make a viral moment
would.
there.
Guy's a pansy.
Ian doesn't like Logan Paul, guys.
We didn't either, but you cannot tell me he's not good.
He's very very good, which makes me hate him more.
I agree. But
You're not wrong.
We got a comment here from referee Jeremy Tillema of Warrior Wrestling. Jeremy, thanks for stopping by. He said, imagine if Trinity and Sasha came back and had a face-off at some point. At the
Give me that. Cinema.
Whew,
Sasha and Bailey having a moment in the Royal Rumble would be, I think that's even better.
We just debunked your theory here, or at least Kind did. He said Gunther can't travel to Australia, apparently, according to some people on X. Yeah. Can't confirm or deny. Is that the truth?
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he's got.
It's for like 6 months. Yeah. I think by March is when that'll be cleared, at least in time for WrestleMania, France, and everything else they've got going on. So probably not, but dang it. I'll come back to Gunther when it's time.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea, though, Ian. So maybe it will be Logan Paul. Maybe Logan will defend his title in the Chamber. We'll see. So let's go over to the men's side of things. We'll go in reverse order this time, so I'll go first. Cody Rhodes, I mean, I'm wearing the shirt, guys. I wore the shirt for a reason. Cody Rhodes has to be a favorite. He has to finish the story. He's my guy. I'm throwing him in there as a favorite. Another obvious name, I think we're all going to say, CM Punk. A Chicago guy, right down the road. Love CM Punk. Love what he's about to dive into with Seth Rollins. But I'll tell you next week, I don't think he's going to win the Royal Rumble. But he seems to be everybody's favorite. And then at number 3... I do think Gunther would probably be my number 3. Just because even if he has the IC title, I could still see him having a match as an IC champion against a World Heavyweight Champion. It doesn't have to be a title unification match, but Gunther's that big where he can hold that title while challenging for a world title, and I think everybody would buy it. Of course, I think you got to think of The Rock as a possibility, but I don't want to see that, so I'm not even going to mention it anymore. So, Chris, I'll go to you next here.
Yeah, I agree with Cody. He's got to finish that story sometime, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's a very long book, and there's been a lot of chapters. Obviously, the second one, I think we're in the 3rd inning. The second one is CM Punk. I do think Punk has never won a Rumble. I think that would be something to put on his list of things to do. He can come back. Maybe he's putting over Seth Rollins. I don't know. My 3rd, and it's kind of a dark horse, is I'm going Drew McIntyre. I think he can somehow weasel his way in. We're getting this, turn to the Scottish psychopath character coming back, and I think, if they're going to do this, everybody expects Punk to win. Everybody expects Cody to win. Shot out of left field. Why not Drew? Like Drew, I saw a stat that he is 0-10 in his last 10 championship matches.
It's like the Bears versus the Packers.
Okay.
Oh man, that was rough. Yeah, I set him up. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that was a layup. I just hooped it.
Yeah. And the other aspect to my Drew, and this is further booking down the road, is if he goes on, wins the title at Mania, boom, Priest can cash in.
I like the Drew shot just because they've really been building that with these opening promos on Monday Night Raw. It seems like there's a big focus on Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. So, Eric, let's hear what your top 3 favorites are.
So, obviously the podcast dad and I spend way too much time around each other because I had Punk, I also had Drew, and for basically all of the same reasons that he listed out. I'm just going to add one more little wrinkle in there is Drew's contract situation. We don't know what's going on with it. Now, yes, the 10 straight championship losses, that absolutely blows. Like it just does. There's no getting around that. We don't know what it is that he is going to do because we know that he has not necessarily been happy with his booking as of late, or at least within the last, let's just say, 18 to 24 months, just as far as a window for that. So the 10 losses certainly don't help. And if he has been offered a new deal and has not signed it, then there is no room to him taking a title off of Seth that he probably could have 2 or 3 months ago. As much as we appreciate the work that Seth Rollins put into 2023, this is still a new championship. So you could have easily bought into him, Drew taking this title off of Seth at any point in time during their clashes over the last few months. Gunther, I mean, the dude's a workhorse. I think that of the 1,800 or so days that he has been with WWE, he has held a championship for 14 or 1,500 of them. Gunther losing the Intercontinental title would be a big deal. The problem is they have built up challenges for him, and he has just knocked them all down. If there is anybody out there that, and I'll ask this to you guys, if there's anyone you think that realistically could beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship tomorrow, who would that be? Chad Gable, I would have believed like 4 months ago, but now he's back supporting Otis and Tozawa as they feud with Ivar without Eric. It's going to be hard to reheat him again to do that. Now, if you just let Gunther win this as Intercontinental Champion, let him just go on that run of dominance, he goes on to WrestleMania to defeat Seth, and it's like, okay, I got both belts. I got the world title here. I don't need this one anymore. There you go. That is much more believable with how they have created and how they have presented Gunther as a wrestler during his entire.
Ian, did you have an answer for his question on who could show up tomorrow and defeat Gunther?
Yes, I did. And I think it's on the top of everyone's mind. It's Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I would greatly appreciate. Wow. I would appreciate. No, and here's the thing, because I said this on our show. As far as if you have to name some of the greatest people to never hold the Intercontinental Championship, Taker, Cena, Lesnar.
Yeah,
you can still get Lesnar, Gunther out of that there. So okay, yeah.
What about Sheamus?
Oh yeah.
You don't like that either? Do you
guys
have anybody in mind?
Yeah, you guys are missing an obvious one.
Let's hear it.
Ilya.
Yeah.
That's how you get Ilya on the main roster.
Yeah,
but you don't want to
right
bring everybody up on the main roster, though.
Yes, I do.
He can do what he wants with his booking.
Well, no, he's got a spreadsheet. It's fine.
I do. Yeah, no, I think Ilya could do it because if you go back, watch their NXT UK matches, that's all I'm going to say.
Some of the best that I've seen. I haven't seen much from NXT UK, but I have seen those matches, and they are very special. So, Ian, why don't you finish this off here? What are your men's Royal Rumble favorites?
Okay. I mean, obviously, Cody. I think I've said it before. Cody needs to finish that story eventually. Like you said, Chris. I also had Drew. Yeah, I had Drew as well. I think there's something to Drew that he needs to unlock. He needs to have that big breakout win. Eventually take it to a title with CM Punk. But my thing with CM Punk is I think that is a Mania match set in stone. I don't think they need any further steps to get to that match at Mania. I think Seth Rollins basically has already chosen. We're going to fight there. Yeah. So I've actually left Punk off my top 3. I don't think he wins a Rumble. I don't see a reason to. I get it, the whole notch in the belt thing. But again, I think they will get to that match no matter what.
That's fair.
My last one, again, a name that has not been mentioned, which I'm kind of surprised about. Another guy that needs a little bounce back win. That's LA Knight.
Yeah.
I think you have to strike while the iron's pretty much still hot and get him to a title, whether that's I don't know where
it ain't Roman's title, that's for sure.
Roman.
I'd say
no, correct.
He already lost. Yeah. He is the megastar, but
Logan Paul.
Yep.
That's
Any
what
title.
we've been saying.
It's any
too.
title.
That's a money feud there.
Mhm.
Oh, they have a lot of things that they could cook up for this year's WrestleMania that would be major. And I think this is really going to be the best WrestleMania that we're going to get. But I'm not going to ask for your guys' picks because I might get you involved in our predictions as well. So I'll save it for then. We got one more thing to touch on before we take this thing home. And that's another, superstar showing up in another company. And it was Jungle Boy Jack Perry who showed up at New Japan this past weekend. And a lot of people have been wondering where has he been on AEW television. We find out he's going to New Japan for now, it seems. He brought the contract and everything, Ian. This was a pretty surprising thing to see.
Honestly, it's kind of cool because it goes against the AEW thing where it's everybody's contract, kind of, but it's on the same vein of MJF. It's like, I mean, we pretty much know where MJF is. I think he's lying in AEW still.
Oh yeah, why didn't anybody say that MJF was a Rumble favorite?
Because he ain't gonna be there, gentlemen. But yeah, with Jungle Boy, I think this is actually a perfect move for him. Showing back up on AEW, doing the same character of the Aviators and Real Glass, not going to work in AEW right now coming back. Why not build yourself? He's got kind of a new look, longer beard, longer hair, letting it all go wild, and I'm here for it. Hopefully he reinvents himself and can bring something back to AEW. If he's still under contract with AEW, we don't know. But it's an interesting spot.
We could probably assume he is and that this is a work. But Junkies, I got to ask you, how do we feel about Jack Perry showing up in New Japan?
Did he freeze again?
I hope not.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll let you go forward. No, I'll let you go first, bud.
No, I love the move. One of the things that he was wearing was the scapegoat on his the scapegoat band on his sleeve.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so he had a sleeve that said scapegoat and then tore up the contract. So I like that aspect of the character that he can go in and kind of say, hey, CM Punk got rewarded and he's on WWE and now he's big star. I was suspended forever and nobody even mentioned me. He got fired and they didn't bring me back. I'm here to make a name for myself. I don't need that company. Go over there, wrestle in Japan for a little while, learn some new holds, develop a character, and then I think when he comes back to AEW eventually, it'll be that almost like Matt Hardy in 2005 when he got fired and then came back.
Right.
Hey, I'm pissed. I deserve to be in this company, and I'm going to make a name for myself, and then kind of do that work shoot angle.
Would have been a perfect devil, by the way. If he would have come back as the devil and they saved the storyline for him to come back, would have been perfect. Especially with what he's doing.
I didn't want him to be the devil.
Anti-authority. No, I'm saying after a New Japan run where he's saying, I hate this company, I hate all the people there kind of thing. I think that would have been perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean,
see that.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, if there's one knock that a lot of people, and this was very, very obvious in the build towards was it Double or Nothing that was the fatal four-way, the four pillars fatal four? Yeah. That was where, I mean, we saw that one segment with all of them, and Jack was, I mean, he was very clearly kind of the odd man out in the promo game. If you're going to go work New Japan, you're going to go learn how to talk. Whether it's English or Japanese, you're going to go learn how to create a character. And that was what was lacking with this heel turn. I mean, that promo that he cut after he turned heel lives rent-free in my head for all the wrong reasons, because it is like it is just so bad. Like, it's just not like there was nothing to enjoy about it. But I do think that a quality run in New Japan will toughen him up a little bit, give him some grit, give him some edge that he very much needs in order to come back to AEW and run with this heel gimmick. I mean, at this point, we're looking at, the patriarch Christian Cage with Killswitch right now. Let's not rule out the possibility of a very evil and very nasty Jurassic Express turning on Christian Cage eventually, to where Cage has no choice but to crawl back to Adam Copeland and be like, "I'm sorry." Can we just go do climb this? Yeah.
Can I get on your back?
Just kind of throwing shit out there.
Not bad.
I'll tell you what, the Jurassic Express stuff was actually entertaining to me. I enjoyed it. I think that was probably the best stuff that Jack Perry was doing, but we probably haven't even seen the best version of him, and maybe that's what New Japan's going to bring out. So I'm pretty excited to see what kind of character he dives into over there. I won't be watching every single week, but I'll keep tabs on him for sure. But guys, that's about all I had on the outline, so it then takes us to the point of the show. If you don't know what we're about here, in every single episode of OTM, we award the MVM, which is the most valuable mark of this episode. And we really only had one consistent commenter from start to finish. So, Ian, he has requested that you do the announcing here, so I will give you the honors to bestow this MVM.
Well, Kine, you won. You were in a room full of nobody, and you won. Congrats.
Wow. Congrats to Kine, ladies and gentlemen, and new MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I wonder if he's got a statement there in the comment section. He said, I'd like to request the GOAT Ian announces me as MVM, the greatest MVM of all time. He did not do that. Sorry, Kine. I'm sure you'll have a rebuttal here in a second, but... Boys, I'm sure this is the first of many collaborations with us, main event mixers, as Eric would call them. But once again, thank you for joining us. This was a very fun episode. And if you want to, plug your stuff, go ahead and do so.
Yeah, that's Eric's shop. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so make sure to follow us on YouTube at Wrestling Junkies Podcast, at Junkies Pod on Twitter. At Wrestling Junkies Pod on Instagram, like us on Facebook. We have got 2 interviews dropping tomorrow, one with Connor Hopkins, one with Tad Jarvis, who went to wrestling school with Thea Hale. We've got new episode of Stump to Smart that needs to get out in the next couple of days. We got a brand new format coming as well that Jackass Van Frank is basically taking up all of the entire fucking budget. Don't give me that Quaker and a titty.
I can't wait.
Anyway, 100 episodes. Thanks to everybody that has been a part of that. Choops, I'll leave it to you. I've been talking a lot today.
No, you know what I say every show? Tell one friend. If you like what we're doing here, tell one friend. That's how we continue to grow. We want to grow with you. We're here to spread positivity. Yes, I can be negative sometimes. I'm exhausted, guys. Get over it. But yeah,
he's a father. Damn it,
kids.
I am.
He's got kids.
I have 3 jobs. I'm married to my wife, and I'm married to Eric. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, guys. But we appreciate everybody listening.
He puts up with a lot. Yeah.
Shut up. But don't ever interrupt me again. We appreciate everything. We appreciate the platform and all that good stuff. But yeah, this is we're gonna keep growing. Grow with us. Let's have some fun. Wrestling is fun. Let's have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the mentality here at the Main Event Wrestling Network. We're just regular fans that want to create content and have fun doing so. You see the Main Event logo in the corner of the screen. You see the handle down below at @mainevent_net on all socials. We just got to 1,000 on TikTok, so we can go live. Big deal over there. So if you want to be a part of the Main Event Wrestling Network, you can reach out to any one of us, and we can definitely hook you up and get you involved. And of course, head on over to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. Brand new merch just dropped for the network. We got a little retro design going on now. Fellas, what do you think of the new merch?
Love it. Love it. Awesome. I need me a tank for pool season.
I'm not going to order a tank, but it looks awesome.
Don't worry. Me neither. I'm not a tank guy. But if you're a tank guy, you can get yourself one at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. But I think that's all we got for him this week. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.